Welcome to the Doctor Janine Show. I'm Doctor Janine Bowring, naturopathic doctor, and today we are talking about healthy or not. So healthy foods that are actually unhealthy, and some may lie sort of in between. So this is a very interactive show today. Everybody who's watching, whether you're on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram Live, please join in the fun. So for each food that I'm going through in a little bit of detail, and then I will give at the end my opinion if it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So the big green check mark or the big red X, I want you to predict what you think I'm going to be saying in terms of that specific food throughout the show. So you can definitely participate during the show. We also have our famous trivia section. And this week, our sponsors at VitaTree, this is what you're playing for, is a bottle of the Veggies Malty. So this is something I'll discuss in a little bit during the show today, because one of the ingredients in here is something that we'll be talking about, so I'm not going to give it away. So make sure you stay tuned right until the end of the show, because the trivia section usually comes towards the end and it is so much fun. And you just want you to participate. You don't have to get the answers right to the quiz questions. Just do your best to answer, and we track everybody who's participating to be able to be a potential winner, and we randomly select that winner. So if you're new to my channel, welcome in. I am Dr. Janine Bowring, naturopathic doctor. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel. If you do have questions or comments as the show is running, please put them in the comment section below. And I appreciate a big thumbs up throughout the show. It's always great to have you here, and all those fun things that you can send me on TikTok as well. Okay, so let's get started with our first food. So here's the big question. Is seafood healthy or not? So we know that there's a lot of controversy around seafood. So whether that's actual shellfish or fish itself, depending on where it's coming from. So there's, a lot of investigation has gone into different parts of the world and getting our seafood. But things like heavy metals, we know, so things like mercury that accumulate in the oceans and the water systems are definitely an issue. Microplastics, so this is something that definitely we know is a problem in the oceans, and it's something that definitely needs to be cleaned up, but this really does depend on, where that seafood is coming from and how much of a problem that this will actually be. Now, there's a difference now between wild and farmed fish. So we know that if it's farmed shrimp, for example, they use a lot of chemicals to control viruses, bacteria, fungal issues, and other pathogens that can be in that water where they are, being grown. So this can be a problem in terms of farmed shellfish, especially, and farmed fish. Not to mention some of what they get in their feed. So of course, the fish aren't always naturally and organically fed like they would be in the wild. They are being fed a lot of antibiotics, steroids, growth hormones. Of course, the bigger the fish and the faster it grows, the more profitability. So this is the problem with farmed fish. It's definitely something that I say to avoid it when you are eating fish and seafood. Now, there are also issues with preservatives. So what's notorious in shrimp and some shellfish as well is the use of sulfites. And people that are sensitive to sulfites, this can be an issue in terms of digestive upset, a lot of gas and bloating, headaches, if you are sensitive to sulfites. So that would be another reason, when you are purchasing your seafood, to really check the ingredients and make sure that there aren't the preservatives. Now, on the more positive side of things, this is where it can be, definitely your own personal choice, but seafood is loaded with all of the essential nutrients that we need, especially for our mitochondrial health. So when we think about our zinc, we think about DHA, which is our omega-3, which is really important for brain and nerve function. Also, DHA concentrates at the back of our eyes. So that if you followed me, I'm all about, taking that sunlight energy into the eyes, converting that into that electrical signal in our cells. That is our internal battery. If we're lacking in DHA and these essential nutrients, magnesium as well, we find in seafood, it's really, and selenium as well. So this really, that combination of all of these superfood ingredients within seafood help to actually combat the fact that if there is any mercury or heavy metals in that food, then that is, you don't have to worry about it as much as what, you may hear in the literature if you're reading blogs about that seafood is evil. So now, it also depends on how well your body is actually working. If your redox potential, so your body's ability to detoxify and create that energy in the mitochondria is working well, then you don't really need to worry so much about that heavy metal potential issue from seafood. So there's something called methylation detox pathways that if they're running well and your cells are running the way and your battery is running the way that it should be, then you don't have to worry so much about some of these, toxins in fish. Now, definitely you want to avoid as much as possible the more toxic fish. So things like shark, we know that swordfish, barramundi, and southern bluefish tuna are examples of a higher mercury and heavy metal containing fish. They're larger fish. They accumulate more of these heavy metals, excuse me, in their fat. So this is something that you definitely want to avoid. Now, some of the better fish and lower on the heavy metal scale and the mercury scale would be wild and Alaskan salmon. So this is really, a great source of your DHA as well because it is a fatty fish, as well as shrimp. So wild shrimp, and depending on which part of the world it comes from, again, watch for those sulfites, would be a great thing. I eat a ton of shrimp myself, and I love it. And I'm just very careful as to the source of where that shrimp comes from, as well as the exoskeleton. So a bit of that shrimp tail is really good. I talk about this when we talk about leaky gut syndrome and actually feeding the gut with some of that chitin, which is really great for your digestive tract. So that's something else you can learn about in my other videos, as well as sardines. Tilapia are great, so the smaller fish. We know that scallops can be a great, low mercury food as well. Oysters are, so bountiful in all of those nutrients that we need from the sea, and squid as well. So this is, if you love your calamari like I do, then these are great choices that are low in mercury. Some other low mercury fish include some of the whitefish. So haddock is a good alternative, pollock, as well as flounder and sole. Catfish, maybe not, depending on where it's coming from. Some of the freshwater lakes that have catfish, they're known to accumulate toxins. So again, it depends on the source of where these fish are actually living. Trout as well, Atlantic mackerel, Atlantic croaker, mullet, crawfish, and crab can also be a great source of that, low mercury seafood. So what is the verdict on seafood? Can you guess what my verdict is? Yes, it's a thumbs up. It is the big green check mark. So yes, so if that was your choice, if that's where you thought I was going, then you are correct. So I do love seafood. Okay, so let's go to our next healthy food. So here's the question. Are chia seeds healthy or not? Chia seeds. So the chia puddings that are so popular, they're often in smoothie bowls, and they're the little black seeds, if you don't know what they are, the little black seeds that are very, very high in fiber. So they contain about 10 grams per 2 tablespoon servings of fiber. And one of the great things that they do is that it's an insoluble fiber, so it can help to bulk up your stool. So for people that are constipated, it can gently get things moving. Now, the drawback, because what they do is they absorb, and if you've experienced this with soaking the chia seeds, they absorb 27 times their weight of water. So this is something that can be dangerous. So if you have any swallowing type of disorder, you can actually choke on these. Because if you are not roasting them or you're not soaking them so that they're absorbing the water beforehand, then what can happen is that if they sort of get stuck or dislodged in the throat area, is that when you do drink something, they can expand up to 27 times their weight and can actually choke you. So be very, very careful if you know that you do have a swallowing disorder, you're on certain medications that can affect, the motility of the esophagus, that you're really careful with chia seeds. Make sure if you are using them that you are definitely soaking them first. As well, now another great benefit is that they contain the omega-3s. Now if you take too many chia seeds, then this can actually thin your blood. So you just have to be a little bit careful with the omega-3 fatty acids. as well as if you have diverticulitis, you've got those outpouchings in the gut wall, the chia seeds can be a contraindication because they're very small and they can get stuck in the places that they shouldn't in the digestive tract, especially if you've got that inflamed diverticuli. And now it depends now on in terms of your fiber supplementation and you know how much fiber you're actually getting in your diet. Again, this is one of those things. If your detox mechanisms are working great, then fiber can be really helpful. Now, if your detox mechanisms and your redox potential is not great, your mitochondrial health is not great, then this can actually work against you. By taking too much fiber, you can actually be creating more free radical damage and reactive oxygen species, ROS as they're called. So this is where it can be a little bit controversial. So one of the things you can do with chia seeds, if you like them, incorporate a little bit, maybe up to a teaspoon per day. If you're finding that it's either too much fiber for you and it's irritating the intestinal walls, then maybe you want to scale back or not consume them at all. So can you guess, is it going to be a green check mark? That's a very confusing one, or the big red X on this one? I go with the green check mark, okay? So for most people, the chia seeds are going to be a healthy source of fiber and your omega-3s, but you just have to be a little bit careful. And this is not what they tell you usually, you know, when you're looking at the recipes for the chia pudding and things. So that's why I do what I do, and I share this great information with you. So, oh, yes, yes. So now we're going to talk about artificial meat alternatives. So I think you know what I'm talking about here. There's different brands out there, one that has become very popular in the last little while. So meat alternatives, so the vegetarian sort of meats that are out there, whether it's burgers or, you know, the other trade names that are out there. So in one of the most popular ones that is out there in terms of being able to be readily available even at burger places now, some of the main ingredients include water, but pea protein, and if you know my personal views on pea protein, that's not my favorite thing. It also contains expeller pressed canola oil, and you know when we talked about the PUFAs, the polyunsaturated fatty acids in other episodes, they are very inflammatory, and most times canola oil is a genetically modified crop, so, and we'll have some glyphosate, so I'm definitely against that ingredient. It can have some refined coconut oil, which is controversial as to how healthy that is because of the refining process. These burgers also contain rice protein, natural flavors, which is sort of the hidden term for MSG sometimes, so you have to be a little bit careful about that. Cocoa butter, mung bean protein, so another bean protein. Methyl cellulose. So a lot of times this actually comes from tree bark, methyl cellulose. So a lot of people can have digestive upset from eating this type of vegetarian style meat or burger patty. Potato starch is in there, apple extract, pomegranate extract, salt, potassium chloride, which is a little bit controversial. It's not sodium chloride, so it's not regular table salt, but it is potassium chloride. So for people that are sensitive to potassium or you're taking certain medications, sometimes potassium is contraindicated, and you wouldn't necessarily know that if you're choosing that type of meat product or meat substitute product. Lemon juice concentrate, sunflower lecithin can be a problem, especially most times sunflower oil and lecithin is GMO as well and can potentially have that glyphosate toxicity. So, and less than 2% can be maltodextrin, and this again can cause MSG-like symptoms for people that are sensitive to maltodextrin. So that's not necessarily what they're going to tell you and market these meat alternatives to you in these foods. So I bet you can guess what I think on this one. Is it the big green check mark or is it the big red X? Okay, I see some, yeah, some good feedback here. Thank you, Sea Turtle, Steve Backup. I see your responses. I think you're right on the money with this one. Yeah, Bird, DJ1, good job, good job. Yes, it's the big red X. So I think that was an easy giveaway. Some of these coming up might be a little bit more challenging, but that was a big, easy giveaway. So I'm definitely, I've never put those things in my mouth. So let's put it that way. Okay. Now let's get to, this one's controversial. Is kale healthy or not? Is kale healthy or not? So we know that kale is known as, it's touted as a superfood. It is that green leafy, if you don't know, because I can't assume that everybody knows what kale is. People watch from different, all over the world. So, but kale here in North America has become very, very popular, and it does contain something called glucosinolates, and these are very cancer preventative, and they still remain intact, especially when you eat raw kale. So, and I know a lot of people are using kale in you know, smoothies and things. Kale chips, which are heated up, definitely, so you're going to lose some of that goitrogenic effect. So we know that kale, there's a question around certain foods in terms of being able to affect the thyroid, and the thyroid, if it's a goitrogen, it can trap the iodine. So that's questionable, and you know, not all endocrinologists are on the same page as to how goitrogenic these foods actually are. So that's still up for discussion. There's not a lot of great studies on this and the ability of these foods. Now, if you steam them, if you cook and you steam kale a little bit, it will remove most of that goitrogenic effect. So that may be an alternative. Now, did you know that kale has a toxicity issue? And here's the thing. So kale, especially from California, this was discovered in, you know, patients having high heavy metal levels when they went to see their doctors in terms of testing that was done. And the problem with kale, especially from California, even organic kale from California, is because of this fracking. And fracking is a type of drilling mechanism with water, and there's wastewater that's associated with this. And that wastewater, they discovered, was being used in agriculture to actually be sprayed over the fields, and contains high levels of thallium. So thallium does come from, you know, the gas sources and natural gas, and that had contaminated a lot of these fields. And even if it was an organically grown field, if that was in the underground water, which often this is where that contamination, that cross-contamination is happening, was affecting the kale and other green leafy vegetables like spinach, which are known to actually chelate and bring heavy metals into their leaves as part of the way that they grow. So this is now, you know, is kale actually healthy or not? And the other thing about organic farming with kale is that they too can use heavy metals, so things like copper and things, as natural fertilizers and pesticides, and that's part of organic farming. So here's this whole question now is, you know, with the heavy metal toxicity, is this actually healthy in our green leafies, especially kale, or not? So definitely, if you're going to eat kale, which I do, just make sure it's not maybe grown in California. Know that where your kale is coming from, preferably still organic, but again, you may be wanting to ask those questions about, you know, what type of farming methods are used. Certainly if you grow it yourself, you till your own soil, that's the best case scenario, and that would be definitely something to do. Now, what I do as a better alternative is I actually take kale as part of my veggie supplement, so as part of my veggie multi supplement, and that has been tested. So this, you know, for me, best case scenario, it's been tested to be free from pesticides and heavy metals. So I know that that supplement, because of the integrity of the raw materials, has been tested. So that's how I get my kale. But I do eat it in salads, don't get me wrong. I'm just not one of those person that has that kale smoothie every morning because of these toxicity concerns. So this is something that I hope, this is new information. Please give me a thumbs up. I truly appreciate your feedback, especially when you learn something new, and make sure you tell a friend about this, especially that friend that's drinking the green kale smoothies every morning, because this could be definitely a concern. And that's why some of the symptoms that can be related to the heavy metals, especially the thallium toxicity, could be fatigue, could be headaches, could be hair falling out and alopecia, as well as visual disturbances, insomnia, depression, loss of appetite, low stomach acid, and GI distress can all be related to this thallium toxicity just from eating healthy organic kale, especially from California. So it's something that, you know, again, what am I going to say on this one? This one's tricky for me. Is it a big green check mark, or is it the red X? I wonder what you think. Dr. Anad, yeah, Californians don't know this. You're so welcome. You know, I think more people need to know about this. So what do you think? Sea Turtle, you're going to let your sister know? I'm so glad. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so what do you think? What do you think? I'm still going to go with the green check mark because, and especially if you're getting it from, a tested source, maybe it isn't a supplement that's been tested like the way that I take it with, that testing that's done behind the scenes. But yeah, if it's going to be a non-organic kale, I'd have to give it the red X. So this one's I'm in between on this one. But yeah, I'm more on the side of the big green check mark for kale. Okay. There are definitely worse things you can eat than kale. Okay, so if you're just tuning in, welcome. It's great to have you here. I'm Dr. Janine. Today I'm talking about healthy or not. This is the Dr. Janine Show, and we're talking about healthy foods that are actually unhealthy. So I hope that you can share this information with your friends, with your family, and I hope that you're enjoying the show. Okay, here's another big one. I think you're going to be shocked at this one. Okay, are we ready? Are bananas healthy or not? So it's interesting because I have seen, I was going to say interacted, not interacted so much, but seen from a distance, pretty close distance, monkeys in the wild. And the average monkey doesn't eat just bananas. What's portrayed, in zoos and on television, that's all they eat. They don't. They eat bananas. That's part of their natural habitat and of course, natural bananas. But other fruits, they eat insects, they eat wood, they eat plants, and they do eat meat as well, depending on the species of the monkeys. So what's interesting, and I found this information, is that one English zoo had actually stopped serving bananas to the monkeys because the more modern, probably genetically modified fruit became much sweeter and was lacking in a lot of the fiber. And, compared to the bananas that grow in nature. And unfortunately, the monkeys that were eating too many of these unnaturally sweet bananas increased their risk of diabetes. They started to get a lot of stomach problems and bad teeth, and they started to become very anxious and aggressive. And of course, they're in a zoo, so you have to sort of take that information as part of the equation. But it's questionable, how is our food adulterated and how is it grown if it's not naturally grown, and who knows what happens with bananas. There's a lot of controversy around this. So the ability to eat bananas as well, it really does depend on where your genetics are from and where your mother's genetics are from. So this comes back to that mitochondrial health and how well you will do in different climates. So if you're from close to the equator where you see the banana trees growing naturally from nature, then this would be okay, and it's in season for you, and this is where you're living in the moment in that hot climate. Then you can get away with, your body knows how to utilize the energy and the electrons from that food. Now, if you're in Canada, and this is why I've said before, no bananas in Canada. I mean, show me the banana tree if you know where that banana is growing, and that's where you harvested it from. And that's the problem with our modern diets, is that we're not eating in tune and in season with the foods that we can actually turn into energy. And this is why people will gain weight. I'm not saying never to eat, don't ever eat a banana again. But at the same time, you have to be mindful of, the energy and the power of the energy in the foods that you are eating. And certainly if your body weight isn't where, and your energy levels, your hormones aren't where you think that they should be, in terms of being healthy, then these are one of those changes that you can maybe make to live a healthier life. Now, if you are going to eat bananas in Canada, definitely make sure it's in the summertime, not in the winter. So we're going to do a post, no bananas in Canada, especially in the winter. So that will be a great, I can already see what that post is going to look like. So make sure you're following me on all platforms, because it's going to be a great one. So that's really important. Okay, so what do you think my thing is going to be on the bananas? And let me qualify this. Okay, bananas in the middle of winter in Canada. Is it going to be a big green check, or is it going to be the red X? Anybody got it on here? Okay, so it's going to be the big red X. So no bananas in Canada. And if you live in a cold climate, then that's definitely something to consider. Okay, so let's go on to the next one, which is very similar in its storyline. Are pineapples healthy or not? So pineapples have a lot of great attributes. So the actual middle part, the core, the stem part, contains a lot of bromelain. And bromelain is a natural anti-inflammatory substance. It is a digestive enzyme, so it helps to break down your proteins, so it can help with your protein digestion. So that's great. But it's also an irritant. So when it's actually manufactured, so when this is concentrated, freeze-dried, and manufactured for the supplement industry, it's very irritating to the skin. And if you get that bromelain on your skin, the people who are dealing with the raw powder form of this, they have to be very protective and have protective gear on because it's very irritating. So that's an interesting fact. Now, again, similar to the bananas, if you're eating pineapple out of season, so depending on where you live in relation to the equator, if you live closer to the equator, definitely you can get away with eating the more sugary, sweet fruits. But because of that high sugar content, especially in the colder months here in Canada and other parts of, North America, and definitely in Europe and Northern Europe, parts of Russia, the further north you go, you're definitely going to have more problems with the sugar content from these very tropical fruits. So pineapple, yes, it is very healthy. I am going to go, what do you think on this one? Yes, sea turtle. I think if you're answering this one, I'm going to go, let's go with, I'm going to qualify this one. Pineapples, and you eat a little bit, so because I know this, I try to eat as close into the actual stem, so the middle part of the pineapple as possible to get more of that bromelain. So that's something that you can do as well. So yes, so pineapples in summertime, and you're living a little bit closer to the equator. Is it going to be the green or the red? Yes, it is the green. So pineapples are definitely healthy. And if you have a lot of inflammatory conditions, a lot of sore joints and things, then this is something that you can add and look for in your supplements, that it contains bromelain. Now, it's also great as a digestive enzyme to help with breaking down your protein as well. Okay, next one, smoothie bowls. Smoothie bowls. So those delicious smoothie bowls that cost like $15 to $20, and they're super expensive if you're not making them yourself. They are super delicious and can be very high in sugar. So again, if you're eating those foods, and especially the fruits that go into making the smoothie bowl, if there's not added protein in there, I like to, when I make it myself, is to add the extra protein powder in there, and I know the source of that because I made it myself, so I know exactly what goes into that functional protein. But putting that to help to increase that protein will help to offset a lot of those, high starchy carbohydrates, and often the tropical fruits that go into the smoothie bowl. So that's something to consider. Now, the nuts and seeds in there are usually great if they're organic, but often these contain the chia seeds, so just making sure that you can tolerate the chia seeds, because most times they're going to be raw and not necessarily soaked chia seeds if it's sprinkled on top of a smoothie bowl. So just be aware of that. And definitely the dried fruit. So if there's things like raisins or craisins and the cranberries and the dried blueberries and things, they're very high in terms of that sugar content. So you have to be a little bit careful. So on this one, I'm on the fence as well. What do you think? I'm going to say for this one, green check mark, or we're going with the X. I'm going to go with the X, yeah. I'm going with the X on the smoothie bowls, unless, of course, you are making it yourself and you're very cognizant of, the ingredients that you're putting in there, that it's not a high sugar content, and, organic definitely. Okay, let's go now with dried fruits. Are dried fruits healthy or not? Well, dried fruits, again, similar to what I was just saying, can be very high in the glycemic index. So the sugar content, because now the fiber and the water has been removed, now you've got concentrated sugar. One of the other things with dried fruits that you have to be really careful about is the sulfites. And this is what they use, unfortunately, as a preservative. Sometimes they'll use potassium sorbate and other chemical ingredients as those preservatives that can cause a lot of stomach irritation and gas and bloating. I'm personally very sensitive to these, so this is something that I definitely stay away from and have for years, in terms of making that connection with my own body and knowing, hey, every time I have those apricots, It really does irritate me. So that's something definitely to be aware of. And again, you think that you're eating these healthy foods and it's not necessarily the healthiest thing for you. Now, most of these, foods often come from a tropical climate. So again, that high sugar intake, like the dried mangoes and things, is going to be off the charts. Making sure that it's organic is definitely the way to go without the preservatives. But what do you think I'm going to go on this one? The green or the red X? Green? We're going with the red X on this one. I got to do it. I'm sorry. And I know that, especially if you've got hormonal concerns. So again, I'll qualify that one as if you've got hormonal concerns, leptin resistance, all the things that I talk about. And if you missed my other videos on leptin resistance and, weight loss and things, if this is a concern for you and you're trying to lose weight, then these are the things you kind of got to watch out for. So if you're just tuning in, I'm talking all about healthy or not, healthy foods that are actually unhealthy. We are streaming live on YouTube. Also on Facebook Live, we are on Instagram Live and on TikTok as well. Nice to see you. Aisha, hi on Facebook. Nice to see you. Jackie and Arletta on Facebook as well. Aisha's asking, how about seaweed? Yes, seaweed is a green check mark, depending on, hopefully it's coming from a good source, from a healthy sea source. So that's a green check mark, and it's not part of the show. So that's a great question. That's why I'll answer it here. Okay, and on YouTube, we have Angel Tudor. How about shrimp? Yes, so I was talking about shrimp when we talked about the seafood. So if it is, a better brand, organically sourced without the sulfites, then I love shrimp. Absolutely. It's a green check mark for and healthy. Hello on YouTube, Marie is here. Nice to see you. So, okay, we have a few more left and then we're going to go to our quiz section. Maybe we'll just do another two more. I think we'll do two more. Okay, granola. So good old granola. So the granola cereals that you purchase. The problem with granola, and this is, I'm talking about conventional boxed cereal granola that you're buying, not one that you're making on your own. It has a lot of the bad oils, unfortunately. It's loaded with sugar, so it's very high in calories, and it does contain a lot of grains. Now, if it contains the oats, which most granola does, most times this is a genetically modified oat, which contains glyphosate. And glyphosate, if you missed my show on glyphosate toxicity and the concern about, leaky gut syndrome and digestive health and hormones and cancer and things, please check out my shows on glyphosate. But yeah, granola, where do you think I'm going to go on this one? Definitely you can make your own, and that's definitely the way to go. I've done that. It is a little bit laborious. It's not so bad if you have the time to do it. But store-bought granola is a big X. Yes, it's a big X. So you don't want to be ingesting. Now, there are exceptions to the rule. Definitely, if you tolerate grains, you're okay, with the grains, and it's an organic, well-sourced, non-GMO, then yeah, it would be okay. Okay, one more, maybe two more. One more. I like this one. This is a good one. Muffins. So if you love your muffins for breakfast in the morning, and I'm talking store-bought muffins, definitely loaded with the unhealthy fats. So the polyunsaturated fatty acids, loaded with sugar. They are usually grain-based, so wheat flour, so not one of my favorites. Now, there are definitely ones that you can make. There's great recipes that we have, so make sure you check out my recipe. We have a blender muffin recipe, which is definitely healthy. There are grain-free options, so often when I make muffins at home, I'll use almond flour, and you can definitely make them healthier. I'll use protein powder, sweetened with monk fruit, so you can make them low sugar. You can make them I'll use coconut oil in my recipe, so check out my recipes. We have a whole recipe section on my YouTube channel, so check that out because that will really help, for you to get some ideas as to how to make healthier alternatives to a really, not healthy food, which is the muffin. So you can guess I'm going with the big red X on the store-bought muffins. It's not a health food. It is not a breakfast food. It's basically a cupcake. And you may have seen blogs written about this. I certainly have. And you know, people that talk about healthy breakfasts, and they say, have your muffin for breakfast, and it may be bran muffin and things. It's not healthy. It's a glorified cupcake, basically. Okay. Do we have time for one more? Oh, this is a long one. You know what? I'm going to leave this one till next week. Oh, yeah, maybe we'll do this one. Okay, this is the last one. And then we're going to go to our quiz section, so don't go anywhere. Thank you, everybody who's tuning in. I see all the feedback here. Steve, Dr. Anand, thank you for tuning in. That's awesome. We have our quiz, the actual quiz section coming up. Okay, here we go. Last one for this week. I have a whole ton more, so we couldn't get them all in because I'm watching the time here. We will continue this show next week with some more healthy foods or not. Okay, so the last one for this week is popcorn. I love popcorn, I have to say. Like, I love it. It's like an old thing from childhood, watching Hockey Night in Canada with my dad and the family and making that big, ginormous bowl of popcorn. It's just, for me, I just love it. But now, and that's very different. I mean, we're going back a long time. I won't say how many years, but we're going back quite a few decades when, you know, I enjoyed that popcorn. Now, what is very common these days is that most corn we know is genetically modified and has this glyphosate issue. So if you, again, missed my show on glyphosate, make sure you check that out here on YouTube. It is a grain, so a lot of people don't tolerate grains well, especially if you have leptin resistance, you're trying to lose weight, and the hormonal issues as well. If you've got a lot of stress, then grains maybe are not always your best option. Popcorn also is a carrier, just like coffee is a carrier for cream and sugar. Popcorn is a carrier for some unhealthy fats, so especially if you're using margarine or some of the bad oils to make the popcorn, but also for sugar. So if it's that sweet caramel popcorn that you love, then yeah, the popcorn is no longer a healthy food. I think we know that. Now, if I had to choose versus a bag of chips, of course I would go with the popcorn. It is healthier, but definitely buying organic, GMO popcorn and popping it yourself. So whether it's air pop or, doing it with coconut oil, I do it the old-fashioned way on the stove, and I don't eat it often, but if I am craving it, I'm going to have it. I mean, that's I think a healthier way to be and to live, in my opinion. So popcorn, is it going to be the big green check or the X? Let me clarify this one. Let me clarify by saying microwave popcorn. Microwave popcorn, which they use the worst fats, it's very toxic. You can guess it's going to be the big red X. But again, I'm on the fence with this one. If you get a good quality popcorn and you make it yourself, it is the green check mark. So that was it. So that was a great show. Now we're going to get into our quiz time. So again, I just want to remind everybody, you do not need to get the quiz questions correctly answered. As long as you are participating, you have the ability to be randomly selected. So just by putting in your answers on whichever platform you're watching on. Some people are smart. They actually go to more than one platform. So you can be watching on YouTube and TikTok at the same time. So just put in your answers. You will be then put into the big barrel of, potential winners that we have a random selector that will select our winner for us every week. Okay, and this is the Veggies Multi, so you will be able to win this if you are our lucky winner. Okay, so I have everybody in front of me here. Let's see. Are we ready to go? Yes. Okay. Question number 1. What is the term for salt therapy in a cave or a room that is salt everywhere? If you saw my TikTok this week, then you know what I'm talking about. And we talked about this on our show last week. Does anybody know? It's kind of a tougher question to start off the quiz section today, but I know some of you are very good at answering the questions. Oh, Arletta, whoa, that was fast. Good job, Arletta had it on Facebook. That was quick. Good job, Arletta. Very, very quick. Marie, some good points I see on YouTube during the show. That's awesome. Yeah, eating food that was closer to where you live. Nadia has it on Instagram. Good job, Nadia. I'm waiting for TikTok today. TikTok. Lots of new people on TikTok. Thank you for tuning in. If you're just tuning in, it's the Dr. Janine show. You're probably wondering, what is going on here? So we do this every week at this time on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the latter part of the show, and this is the quiz section. So we do this every week, and we have a prize, a different prize every week that you, as long as you're participating and trying to answer the questions, you don't have to get the questions right. Just put in anything. Put in an answer. Good. I got it. Lizetta has it on TikTok. Good job. Aisha has it on Facebook. Liz on Instagram as well. Okay, good job, everyone. So, yes, it is called halotherapy or speleotherapy, which is an actual salt cave. And that was the original term, was speleotherapy. So good job, everyone. That was a Judy, good job. You had it. Nyla, you had it as well. Dr. Anand, you had it as well. So I think some of my responses are coming in a little bit later on my TikTok today, but good job, everybody. Clark Swim had sensory deprivation. Yes, so they do use the salt water in those pods, in the liquid pods, but I was more going for the cave. But anyways, that's a great answer as well. So good. So sorry I didn't hear that. And proud to be tree hugger on Instagram. Good job. Okay, Instagram's in my ear in case that's my producer in my ear telling me my Instagram. Okay. Oh, wow, Alice, speleotherapy, you had it. Good job. And Brent is here as well. Good job, good job. And yeah, okay, good. Good job, everyone. That was a tricky one. Okay. This should be easier. Question number 2, true or false? Halotherapy has been proven effective for psoriasis. So again, the salt therapy, the halotherapy, has been proven effective for psoriasis. And if anybody can give me the percentage, we'll give you an extra entry as to how much the people were. I know, I have my producer in my ear. I can't, she knows the percentage. How much the psoriasis patients, maybe we should say the answer first. Yes, 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 good. Tundra, good job. User 9417, Alice, good, 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 good. Bird J1, Trudy, good. Steve Backup, good try. Dr. Anad, good job. Proud to be tree hugger has the true or false. Okay, good. Oh, Aisha's got both. Oh, Aisha, of course. Good job, girl. Liz has it as well. Caper 2424 has it as well. They have the true or false or the percentage. Does anybody else have that? Besides Aisha, have the percentage? Oh my gosh, Aisha, you're my girl. That's awesome. Nadia? Okay. Anybody else? Good try, Judy. Yeah, anything, any attempt. That's all we're going for here is the attempt on the answers. That's all I want. Okay, so yes, it is true. So halotherapy has been proven effective for psoriasis in 65%. Aisha had it right. 65% of the psoriasis sufferers had an improvement in the salt cave. So that's huge. So I highly encourage anybody, given that you're healthy otherwise, that, you go and experience a salt cave if you can find one, and look up, other ways to use the salt therapy. Okay, question number 3. What should the ideal urine or pee color be? What should it look like? Nyla, you had good, and Dr. Anad, good tries on the answers. Brent, good job. I did talk about that. I think I mentioned that in the show, but that's not the one that I demonstrated, but it's still a good answer. TikTok has it already? Oh, Dr. Anad, good job. Barb, good job. Barb, maybe you saw the show last week. Liz on Instagram, good job. Just Bored K1, good job. Proud to be Tree Hugger on Instagram. Good job as well. Arletta, good job on Facebook. Aisha, good job as well. Good, good, good. Nadia, yep, good job. Bird J1, good job. Lizette, good job. Is it Caper 2424? Yeah, good job. Anybody else? Claudia as well, good job. So yes, the answer is a light yellow lemonade looking like color. That's exactly how I described it last week in the show. So if you missed the show about salt and what, some facts about healthy urine and what to aim for and some danger signs and symptoms in the color of your urine, please check out last week's show. Okay, question number 4, true or false? Salt helps balance insulin. So I'm talking about ingesting salt. Salt helps to balance insulin, true or false? Steve, good job. True or false? Salt helps to balance insulin. Nyla, good try. Judy, good job. Samin, good job. Alicia. Alice Lopez Photography. Good job. User 9417, good job. Brent, good job. Nadia, Howard, thank you for tuning in. Only One Crystal, good try. Nadia has it. And Tree Hugger friend, good try. Aisha, good job. Arletta, good job. Claudia has it correct as well, good job. Bird J1, good job. Only One Crystal, good try. Anybody else? The answer is true. Yes, so salt intake, it's finding that sweet spot for your salt intake is very important for your health and balancing your blood glucose levels. So that's something that if you missed it, please check out last week's show all about the ingestion, the healthy use of salt in the diet. And the previous week to that, I think we did 2 weeks, did we not, of salt? Yeah, so yeah, the last 2 weeks episodes were all about salt, and we have broken it down into smaller segments as well, so you can check those all out on my YouTube channel. If you're not yet following me there, make sure that you're subscribed. Okay, last question for today, true or false? Salt restriction lowers the metabolic rate of brown fat. So it's a double negative, sort of. Salt restriction lowers the metabolic rate of brown fat, true or false? TikTok has it. Good job. Barb 45, Steve Backup, good try. Salt restriction lowers the metabolic rate of brown fat. So not Instagram. Liz, good try on Instagram. Arletta, good job. Aisha, good job. Brent, good. You took a stab at it. Good try. That's all we're looking for. Just bored. K1, good try. Dr. Anna, good job. Anybody else? Tracy Alice, thanks for joining. This is the Doctor Janine show. You're just coming in at the tail end. We're in our quiz section of the show, and I have to mention as well, so stay on Instagram Live and on TikTok after we're finished streaming in a few moments. On YouTube, I will stay on for a few more minutes and answer your questions if you have any. Sorry, not YouTube, TikTok. Did I say? Yeah. When we're done on YouTube, I will stay on TikTok and Instagram Live. Sorry. Anybody else? Nyla, good job. Arletta, I said that one already. Good job. Nathri. Nathri on Insta. Nadia on Instagram. Good job. Liz, good, good, good. Proud to be a tree hugger. Good job. There's some good questions coming in on TikTok, so please stay in on the show after. Question about salt and diabetes. Yeah, so please stay tuned. I'm Dress. Oh, thank you, thank you. Dr. Anna, do you love the quizzes? I do too. It's my favorite part of the show. I think it's fun. Kathy Gutierrez, nice to see you. Thanks for all the new follows and everything as well, guys. It's fantastic. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so the answer is true. Yes, salt restriction does lower the metabolic rate of brown fat. We want our brown fat to be active because brown fat generates heat and burns off our calories so we don't store extra body fat. Now, that is depending on where you live. You want to have more brown fat the colder the temperature. This is why we can use cold therapy and different things. But if you're salt restricted, then this whole mechanism for burning off fat is not going to work for you. So that's something that we talked about last week in last week's show, and it ties into leptin resistance and other things that I talk about in other episodes. So if you're new to my channel, please check out, all the videos that I have on YouTube. It's really important to, help you on your health journey, and that's why I'm here, is to give you the information on your health journey to help to guide you, and then you can share that information with your friends as well so that they get healthier, and of course doing it naturally. So today we talked all about healthy or not, healthy foods that are actually unhealthy. So I want you to tune in next week. We will continue this discussion going through some so-called health foods, and maybe they're not as healthy as what we would think, and we'll continue that discussion. If you do have questions or comments, please drop it in the comment section below. Be sure to share this video with your friends as well, as I had mentioned, and I would love to have all those likes and things that you can send me, especially on TikTok. It's so fun because you can send me all these presents and things. I think it's fun, which is great. If you're new to my channels, welcome in. Make sure that you're subscribed on all platforms and turn on the notifications, especially on YouTube, so that you're always notified of my newest and latest uploads, which happens every single day of the week. We have a new upload. It's not just myself. My whole team helps me to do that and to put all of the content together for all of you. And remember to always take good care of your health and do it naturally. Thanks for watching today.